worries about, I'd say primarily, about overpopulation. Half of the people ever born in the world are now alive at this very moment. That is a staggering statistic. And they will double. It is a geometric progression, and if you want to think of Adam and Eve, you can think of two right here, and it's an upside-down pyramid. We are running out of food. There will be a world famine, predicted by the agronomists at FAO around 1972 or 3. 14,000 people starve to death every day. Birth control must be practiced on a very large scale. I suspect on a compulsory scale. Within this generation, we can't just wait and say, well, everybody's got the right to make as many replicas of himself as he wants, and somehow we will feed them. Or as Pope Paul said so unhappily, there is plenty of room at the banquet of life. Well, there isn't any room at the banquet of life, because we're running out of food. We haven't got the means. 70% of the earth is salt water. We can't live on plankton, despite those occasional Associated Press stories about what marvelous strides ahead they're making. So...
Well, you're depressing me right off the start.
It's all right. There's nothing like beginning low just to really go lowest. So we will start very low with that. Therefore, what does this mean in relation to the family? What does it mean in relation to the sexes? What does it mean in relation to the way we live now? What is morality?
Do you remember a Brave New World kind of novel a little while ago that posited a future where prestige and power were related to the number of kids the state let you have, the number of children, whether you were a one-child man or a two-child man or a three-child man? Is that what you'd like to see?
Not only would I like to see it, but as, on the one hand, as devoted a civil libertarian as I am, and as much as I detest the role of the state or big business or anything else in the lives of individuals telling them what to do, I think there's now one area that the state must enter, and that is the business of having babies and who is to be allowed to have them. And I suspect this is going to be a very cruel affair when to be told that you are just forbidden to have children. But it's going to come.
It's kind of mind-boggling. I mean, you're right into the problem of who's going to set the categories, and is that going to be you?
Who will set the categories, you know? Everybody thinks he'll be perfect at the job, but how you determine it, I don't know.
Would you like the job?
Oh, I wouldn't like it at all. It would be sort of like one of those computers like those kids at Harvard did, you know, pick a date, you know, and you'd have to figure out what the chromosome balance was and color of the hair and so on. I wouldn't like it, no. But it will have to come because we shall be literally starving to death. On the other hand, nature does program us for survival, and I suspect we are now programmed for a world war, which will handle the population problem perhaps in our usual way. We have never been intelligent enough to plan for anything. I think that's one thing you can say about the human race, is we only until disaster overtakes us do we then try to do something about it, and of course it's too late. But by hopefully bringing up subjects like this and twitting the Catholic Church and other people who are opposing birth control, I think we may make a beginning. So I don't want to see the human race destroyed. I don't want to see all the rivers and all the lakes poisoned, which they are happening in the world, and the ground being made unfertile. And people's, the human intelligence, according to the outrageous Dr. Shockley, who won the Nobel Prize in Physics, human intelligence is demonstrably lowering with each generation, because physically weak strains are surviving due to good medicine. There is not that brutal weeding out that nature did before with children. And through malnutrition, since they talk about all our racist friends south of the border, I suppose you have some here too, who say that Negroes are less intelligent, and they point to the African tribes and so on. Very often they are less intelligent, and it's because of malnutrition. That anyone who's been starved as a child, brain is damaged, and what is even more horrible is that his children, even properly fed, will also have suffered some brain impairment. Now, all this are things that have to be taken care of. Now, where do you begin? I don't know. I do what I can propagandizing. Should the UN do it? Should the nations of the world get together? Who knows how? It might be one thing, since everybody watches television, to automatically sterilize them through television, because, I mean, when you go back to early periods, it was always the strongest man got the fleetest girl. And they would then, presumably, improve their stock, and that is how we moved up gradually to our current precarious state. So in a sense, now you might have to do it more scientifically, by that more deliberately, saying you and you will make a child It may very well be that children will not be made by direct contact. It will simply be all done through laboratory arrangements, and that men and women will just simply live together in whatever combinations they want as long as they are sterile.